Our opening hymn this morning is Hosanna, Loud Hosanna, and it's number 278 in the United Methodist Hymnal, and we're going to sing verse 1 and 3. Hosanna, loud Hosanna, the little children sang, through pillared court and temple, the lovely anthem rang, to Jesus who had blessed them, close folded to his breast. The children sang their praises, the simplest and the best. Hosanna in the highest, that ancient song we sing, for Christ is our Redeemer, the Lord of heaven, our King. Only we honor, praise him with heart and life and voice, and in his blissful presence eternally rejoice. Today's message is about palms, peace, and passion. It's Palm Sunday. It's the day of the procession into town of Jesus in Jerusalem. So how are you today? Are you one that is having to continue to go to work and be on the front line of defense of this virus? Are you one that happens to be at home keeping other people safe? No matter where you find yourself today, know you are not alone and that you are loved. This gospel story from Matthew is also found in Luke and in Mark. And in this, it's the beginning of Jesus' walk to the cross. It seems a little eerie as we are facing what we are facing today in this week. It's like something we don't want to face, but yet knowing all along we are going to. Today's story of Jesus walking into Jerusalem is about his continuing to walk with God. It's about planning and preparing for his disciples and followers, even when they don't get it. Jesus is still continually trying to teach them. Go into the village ahead of you, and immediately you will find a donkey tied and a colt. Bring them to me. Just tell them that the Lord needs them. Can you imagine the thoughts of the owners of the donkey and the colt? Don't worry, we'll bring them right back. Or maybe there was a little bit of a stressful altercation. Or maybe one of the disciples and their presence explained the importance. Maybe the importance of the event was already understood and they already knew who Jesus was. But why a donkey? A donkey is echoing the poetry of the Old Testament prophet Zechariah in chapter 9 of Zechariah, and it's referenced in this verse of Matthew. It's a fulfillment of prophecy, peaceful intentions, a restoration of Israel, and stating Jesus is peaceful, the Prince of Peace. As peaceful intentions, like Jesus. If we put this into today's context, it's almost like saying, I know we're from different places. Can we borrow your airplane to deliver some medical supplies to people who really need them? What we do know about today's story is that whoever owned the donkey and the colt lent them for the purpose of good, for the Lord, and for Jesus. And yet, In this story, Jesus knows where he's going, persisting with peaceful intentions, but purposeful intention to use a donkey symbolically for peace. And he continues to prepare these events for his disciples and followers, for them to see and understand. The disciples brought the donkey and the colt, and they put cloaks on them, and they set Jesus on the donkey so that they could head toward the large crowds that were awaiting. Jesus enters the streets, and the crowds cheer. He is somehow in their minds their new king who's going to rescue them and save us. The word Hosanna in Hebrew. And it's also a song of praise too. Save us from the injustice and oppression. In the Christian church tradition, Palm Sunday has been maybe more celebratory, yet it really has a message of a protest march. The celebration of the day, of this procession of Jesus on the donkey coming into Jerusalem. The crowds wave their branches, and yet Jesus is still working behind the scenes to prepare his disciples. And we'll find out later throughout the week and the scriptures where he wants to take them. He wants to gather them at a table. Peace work takes preparation and planning. Jesus hopes that he is able to share with them how much they are loved by him and by God, and that their actions are important. He is teaching them that this is more than a celebration or a parade, but an intentional way and journey for the love of all of God's people. Jesus hopes his disciples to see that this parade-like event is for everybody. It's for all the people, even if they don't realize it yet. The crowd is very excited, and we hear them shouting, Hosanna. Yet we read the whole city was in turmoil, asking, who is this? From Galilee, really? A son of David? Really? Is this where kings come from? There is a sense in the turmoil that the crowd may not totally approve of the status quo of this king. Jesus rides on. And this is how he brings the palms into the beginning of the story of Holy Week, to the cross. As Jesus prepared and guided his disciples, we're going to prepare a little bit in the kitchen and make some pretzels for Holy Communion. As we discussed last week, the importance of us being and staying in touch. Being in communion is a way for us to be connected and in touch with Jesus and with God as a community. This walk to the cross, Jesus invites us to do too. And in this story, as he's inviting the disciples to borrow a donkey, people today are borrowing things for the Lord to help one another in crisis. People are gathering supplies, and they may not borrow a donkey, but they may borrow other ways in order for us to help one another. So we give thanks that we get to be here together as a church, as a community, and following in Christ. So peace be with you. Amen. Throughout this week, we will continue to tell the Passion story as it evolves through the scriptures. On Wednesday, we will have our final virtual soup supper. And on Thursday, we will have a Maundy or Holy service with communion. Friday, we will have a Good Friday service. And then we will come and rejoice on Easter Sunday. Blessings to you. Today, we're making palm crosses. It's a way of symbolizing that the Palm Sunday is the beginning of Holy Week. And traditionally as a church, we keep our palms for an entire year, and then we burn them at the beginning of Lent for Ash Wednesday. We come to a time in our worship for prayers and concerns for our community and prayers for the people. So take a moment to remember those who are in need. And will you join me in prayer? Dear God, Creator, Holy One, in these uncertain times, like the journey Jesus takes to the cross, touch and hold all of those who are afflicted all over the world from this pandemic. Hold those who are ill and are struggling, give them strength. Comfort those who have lost loved ones. Lift up those who are on the front line, especially those who are at risk in medical fields. Hold those who need to be in work in a public space. Be with those who are at home. Let your love and peace be with local and world leaders. Touch their hearts so that peace and justice can prevail. Send your loving grace into the world. We give thanks for your beautiful creation, our planet Earth, and help us be the best stewards we can possibly be. Amen.